for analysis. Okay. So the first category or the first question, analysis of questioning the production of knowledge itself, because now that you're in thesis mode and also in general, that the way we always look at theory as if it is something written or given, not as something that will help you open out, that if you take it and apply it or look at something through it, what does it reveal? Does new knowledge come up? And so the course is called On Suspicion, or you can call it On Skepticism. And there are 4 themes. The first is the idea of knowledge itself. Okay, language itself. Language is a way that knowledge is constructed and made, which is what this session is about. So we'll be looking at the way language creates and constructs the world and knowledge about the world. In the second session, we are going to look at the kind of framework of psychoanalysis. That's the second one. If you all are aware of Freud and Lacan and other people, then we'll be looking through psychoanalysis. And at every point of time, we'll be looking also at architecture space through these things. But it'll come up in discussion. But of course, it's an open framework that can be applied to so many things in life. So you all are open to bringing things from other disciplines as well. That's psychoanalysis. Then the third one is the theory of the other. Okay, you may be aware of this, of the idea of the other or the conception of this idea of the other. So that will be the third thing. And the fourth one will be of this idea of ecologies. What is this way of thinking of relationships or structures as ecologies? So that is the fourth one. Yeah. So these are the 4 kind of frameworks. We will spend maybe this class and the next on language, and then we will move maybe one session on the image, and then we will go to psychoanalysis. Yeah. They're not all separate. Of course, you can take one and look at the other with it. There's no the point like Foucault says, is that it's supposed to be not a tool for understanding, but a tool for cutting, like cutting as in an analytical tool, right? So that is what we are trying to do, like just trying to think through this through these frameworks and trying to open out things that are opaque or taken for granted or presumed through these frameworks. Yeah. So, Rutika, do you want to
Yeah.
You want to begin the class today?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so last time we gave you 2 readings. If you remember, The Wine and the Milk and The Egg and the Sperm by Millie Martin. And we had asked roll number 1 to 5 and 6 to 10 to read the 2 articles. So can I get the cameras on of first to 10 roll numbers, and we at least start initiating the discussion for that, what all you read, or anyone who has read basically has gone through the article. So we can at least quickly start with some questions that you have or some kind of comments that you have, and then I mean the whole class can kind of join in. So anyone?
Yeah. Did everybody read it? Read the essays. They're fairly easy. One is very small and one is very easy to read.
Yeah.
Did anybody look at it? Any hands? Nobody has the time. Are you guys not getting time to read beyond your thesis work?
They are short essays, guys. I mean, The Wine and the Milk is so small, so chotu one.
Arhan, did you read it? Ria?
No.
No. Okay. Has anybody read it? At least the roll numbers we had deputed to read it.
Yeah.
Did you guys read it?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, great. So do you want to say what you think about it?
Yeah.
Like Rutika said, it'll be nice if you put your cameras on, if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's good to see you guys and talk to you rather than me talking to each other every time.
Or yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Maitri, anything that you feel, don't worry. I mean, anything
Okay,
that
now I'm going to start calling names out.
I read Wine and the Milk, but I didn't get it that much. I found it a little contradicting. I don't know it is contradicting or not, but I didn't understand it that much. But like how it is like he is stating that anything can be a myth, and then like one section he is talking about like how they are opposite and like and yet he uses both of these items to describe them in the roles of individual lives also. And then like he is pointing out like how great value is wine to the French, and they take pride in making it and drinking it also, but they respect it, like they do not get drunk with it. And like other countries have like the stereotypes of like drinking and getting drunk. And then he's also saying that the French government also like applied like replacing wine with milk, like public displays, like how like Ronaldo did few days back, like picking water over Coke. So like that I found a little contradictory. Like he's also saying that wine is like the pure, and then they are promoting milk as well and calling it like milk is something pure, like it is like a cosmetic surgery and no cosmetic, like it will beautify you, and wine is like kind of a Botox kind of a thing, like something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
But
It
in
gave
the
that
end,
feeling.
I think they were saying that still milk for them is something exotic, and then wine is still a part of their nation. So they ended it in that sense and started it with both being described as two different things in their everyday life. And
In the end, he does something, no? In May.
Yeah, milk is like opposite, like soothing, dense and strong. Like it is equal to reality, and like both the wine is like called a social collective. Like so, it brings people together or something like that. We don't.
No, in the end, the last line, I'm trying to remember. I'm opening it.
Yeah. So he compares it, he draws parallels, with a lot of things. If you remember that. 1 second, I will do this.
Uh, as Matri said that like milk is pure and all, and wine is for like myths and all. But there was one sentence, if I can remember, like wine can be an alibi for the dreams as well as reality, and it depends on user. ऐसा कुछ था, I don't remember it properly.
Yeah.
That sentence just मेरे mind में बैठ गया था वो. So I don't know, like
Matthew,
it is
what do you mean that
contradicting
you?
the paragraph.
What is this contradicting in what way? He's contradicting himself.
Yeah,
Not himself, as in like I didn't understand the article. Means it is contradicting like wine is like taken as like it is pride of the France, and then they are promoting milk too, like so in that way it is contradicting a bit. Yeah.
Somebody else? Anybody else?
Keyur, Riya, Anand, Ronak, Nandan, Nihar, Ditya, Ravnoor. Anyone?
Yeah, hi. Ditya here. I read. I was silent because I was reading the egg and the sperm one, and keeping in mind the what you had told yesterday, using language as a tool or using language in a way that it kind of builds your argument. And as a person who experienced stereotypicalism, I'd never known that it would go to the depths of these kind of topics, because it's not something we encounter. But the way they had phrased these normal biological things as also a male dominating, or keeping that as a hero, and the egg as the thing that needs protection, or needs to be told to do things, otherwise he'll just sit like that. That was very interesting, that dynamic that they kind of explored, from plain blunt stereotypicalism to slightly, you can say, in the background, but still pushing that, the sperm is the hero. It tries to go and wiggle its tiny size against the mighty egg. And that was a very interesting thing to read. I haven't completely read it, so I've not read her view on it, but this this was very interesting.
Okay, great. But
Oh,
so yeah, go ahead. Who's it?
This is Ratnoor. I also read The Egg and the Sperm, and there was one bit where she was also talking about when people actually start talking about the egg in a good way, but then it's not in a good way. It sounds like as if they are talking about the egg in a scary way, it's not about the goodness of it, but how bold it is or how stationary it is. So like how it is like the bigger thing. But then at the same time, how it has this thick layer, so it just takes in the sperm and it does whatever it does. But then every time what happens is, even though this just shows that the entire approach to the topic of the egg or the sperm or the stereotypes we have is very misogynistic. So that's what I thought was the main main way Martin looks at the entire situation. That every time it's just demeaning the egg and some way like trying to say that, oh, okay, the sperm is like the better thing. She also talks about when it comes to things like contraception, even then you start talking about how the egg, again, it says that the egg is not doing anything, it's just there, but then it's the sperm doing the work, like going and actually meeting the egg. So like uh every time it's just trying to like the stereotypes are just trying to demean women or the female organs in some way, and then trying to show the sperm or the male organs as the bigger one. And then
Is it?
yes,
And in the end?
in the end, she ends up like suggesting that, how if we stop just using these words and then reword these things in a much better way, and um, like that is how we are taught even in our like in our high school, right? That this is how it happens and everything. So like if that is not the way of teaching it, if everything is not taught as black and white, and like all the possibilities are explored and everything is reworded in a much better way, in a much gender neutral way, then it could actually create an impact, and not everybody would have the same thinking. Like the stereotypes is something that would go away. This is what I understood.
Anybody else read it? Do you agree that it is
Hello.
misogynistic, Kapil? Go.
Yeah,
ahead.
actually, I want to add on what Ravnur said. Actually, I also read the
Against
essay,
them.
but I approached it in a quite different way, because I was reading it as a reader who doesn't know as what is going in the opposite gender. So the writer is first drawing the parallels. Okay, so women goes under this thing. So in main, there are counterparts in that part. Like for example, if woman goes on the process of menstruation, so there is one term that he used for the main that we also go in this phenomenon. So there were some parallels that were been drawn. After some point, I was starting to question, why is he telling me this? I mean, why is this information needed? So as soon as the essay went down and it reached to the last paragraph, at that time he mentioned his argument that what he wanted to actually tell, like the feminist approach, like the way the patriarchy evolved. It is actually because of biology that was responsible. So I thought that he was actually talking about the evolution of this thought or the patriarchy or how the society is shaping because of the biology that is misunderstood in some way, or maybe took it at a different lens, because even after knowing so many things, people don't you know understand it in a holistic way that actually what is happening. Both genders have some things, some norms, or some where both are unequal or equal in some sense. But he's trying to, I guess, tap on how the people think using the lens of biology, I feel. Because even if you look at the concept of religion, that is a social concept, no matter so many religions are different from each other, but patriarchy is common in all. I mean, because the thought of human is evolved in such a way that biology has a major part to play, like how the things goes on. This is what I thought. I was actually critiquing on structure of this essay, that how he is trying to first delayer it and then plotting his argument that this is what he wanted. Yeah,
I also
Adding to what
actually had a question that so when initially when they started discussing on what the how it's been portrayed, it's also I think very important as to know who portrayed it, because if it's a very misogynistic driven society that or it's a group of men writing it, it's very natural to not understand exactly what is happening in a female's body as well, which is why it's very easy to maybe portray the journey of the sperm and the process of fertilization, but not maybe go beyond the or detail explain the process of fertilization itself. Maybe.
I also felt that looking at biology as a subject, which is in some ways, states out very, exact terminologies, and it has a specific definitions regarding things, but how those could also, in some way, have this, in some sense, now that how they were described in the sense how they contain what the society thinks in some way of these organs, or of how this action takes place in bodies, and how biology being a very in a sense a factual, or a very scientific subject in one sense, uh, it has these layers of I'm not able to explain it, but
Culture, maybe.
yes, of these cultural things of that time, particularly when it was written, or these terms were used, and how they are being carried forward even now, and then looked at in a very different light about what they mean.
The cultural definitions actually during that time, and those kind of maybe leads to how something is written and how it maybe creates image of that particular in this case it's the image of the egg and the sperm.
The thing is also science has this idea of objectivity, like almost like a removal or a gaze, which is supposed to be unbiased, based on rational principles. And I think that is very interesting what you said, Anushka. In the beginning of the essay, she says something really fun when she's talking about this idea of nature itself, that you imagine that and nature and science especially, that there is if you start, what she says is very interesting. If you imagine everything through culture as if it is contaminated or infected with already, when we speak or when we name or when we conduct, write scientific texts. If we are aware of the fact that this is a cultural production, or this is a cultural gaze that is embedded in existing power systems and structures, then like towards the end she says, if we start revealing these relationships, then maybe, you know, things can happen or you can move ahead. Now, if you remember the first part, I can't recall exactly, but I think she's talking about this question of the natural. This idea of naturalization is also interesting. You know how certain things get naturalized in language, in like the idea of woman, which contaminates even, you know, scientists who are doing, you know, just experiments and mapping sperms journeys and things like that. But when they write, the language has all, like, the modes of writing, whether it is that fairy tale ka ek tha na, there's one fairy tale,
No, so
Snow
in
White.
uh,
Snow White awoken by the kiss of the prince.
no, the Sleeping Beauty. She draws
Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty.
that, you know, the eggs are sleeping and the sperm kind of comes, and you know that the kiss that the Sleeping Beauty gets, and then she comes into life,
Yeah.
and that's the and even the way she draws parallel, like the eggs are the damsel in distress and the sperm comes like a, you know, to save. Yeah, Anushka, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Then, yeah, Anushka, you want to say something? Anybody else?
I don't want to add anything.
In Wine and Milk, also I felt that what was interesting is his attention to the form and the qualities of the material itself, you know, which the other one doesn't have so much. Of course, it looks at the language, but in this, he's also looking at the, you know, the redness of the wine, the fact that of its volatility, you know, like that alcohol ka volatility, like it transforms states. It's imagined also to have alchemical properties because of that, going from one state to the other, like um, then all the other, the this with blood, you know, all those associations are there. It's an attention to the way we think through metaphor when we look at forms also, you know, the redness of something, the whiteness of something. So I thought that was a very nice in that writing, that attention to form, because we do also ascribe through metaphors meanings to certain forms, like the sharpness of something or the softness of something.
Yeah.
I think that's also there. I don't remember very well, but in the egg and the sperm, I think that is also there. The in the form of the egg and the sperm, is it there?
See, in the again this one, there's one line that actually I had highlighted. I don't know, it talks about the representativeness, but here it was it's more like in the Wine and the Milk. Like I have this line, you know, the Bath kind of describes, you know, his representative drink as something with its own identity, because in its red form it has blood, the dense, the vital fluid, you know, continuing with its superpowers, making a weak man strong or a silent one talkative. So that's what he kind of says. But here in the again this form, there is one like the language plays. I mean, when even I was reading it was like the language plays so much important role here. Like where she says, whereas the female, see the way one says that even menstruation, it is equated with failure of pregnancy. Okay.
Debris and
yeah.
all that strange language.
You sheds the debris and whatever. And even when you talk about the eggs, so there are so many eggs produced and it's a wastage, you know. So the eggs are already there since the birth, and it get kind of, you know, they kind of deteriorates, they die. But at the same time, the amount of sperm produced every day by men is not seen as a wastage, but it is something seen as an abundant and a heroic activity. So there are these interesting parallels, and I think that's how the language creates so strong images. Wherein at the end, or not at the end, but in the middle somewhere, she also was talking about these recent advances, wherein it's not that, you know, the sperm kind of goes and penetrates into the egg and, you know, gives it a whatever life, but it's the adhesive substances which actually are responsible for the merger. It's not only the sperm or not only who is doing the job.
Like some collaborative sort of thing like that.
Yeah. So there are, I mean, there are some of the, like, the text celebrates, sperm production because it is continuous from puberty to whatever till age, while they portray egg production as inferior because it is finished at birth, because egg production stops at birth. So that's how the language, I think, in this, it's a very, very strong example of how the
I think in terms of thinking about this in terms of architectural discourse, there are two interesting things that I remember. One is this idea of masculine vitality and this feminine passivity. Did you guys see this Corbusier's work in Algiers, or read that essay of Corbusier in Algiers? If you see, I can put it on the chat, but the way that this idea of modernity coming to the Arab lands was imagined or drawn or visualized in Corbusier's sketches, or even the intervention that he made. Has anyone seen Corbusier's big highway building in Algiers images in all those drawings? Floating over the city, old Kasbah. But you will see the similar sort of dichotomy that is making this, or that binary that's established, that is making this argument for the bringing of this dynamic modernity onto the passive but beautiful and mysterious Kasbah of Algiers. I'll send the article. It's very interesting. And in the other way also, in the I don't know whether anyone can think of parallels through the idea of Frenchness, or this idea of the wine and milk in terms of the myth of Indianness, or the idea of Indianness. Anybody?
The whole aspect of a certain identity that one gets.
I think it'll be interesting to look at texts on by these guys. I think B.V. Doshi talks. Doesn't B.V. Doshi do the thali as a metaphor a lot? Aishu?
That's B.V. Doshi
The
or
thali, the thali, the Gujarati thali, the traditional thali
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
metaphor for.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he does, no?
Yeah. Food and metaphor, and the kind of combinations of them, and all of that as well. No, and also basic kind of symbolism that is used and kind of manifested into form, like in the works of Charles Correa, also does a lot of this kind of borrowing from certain ideas which are so-called universal across the country, and then being applied onto the building in many ways. I think that is also something that happens very often when Indianness is actually looked at. But of course, we have to understand that these are only like parts of an entire culture, and the culture is more complex than that. So I think that's another way of kind of the myth of Indianness, or the myth of kind of production of Indianness. Yeah.
In the thali, I think this whole idea of these spices, the different flavors, and
Right.
all those kind of metaphors are utilized to think about put the idea of this Indianness. There is a particular construction around this idea of Indianness that has many different kind of myths embedded in it, which can be fun to think about. Guys, anything? Should we move to the second session? Rutika, did anybody else have anything to say after they read it, or did Rutika, you want to introduce the second part? Yeah. Any comments? And you can type as well.
You have to read, guys. These are fun articles. They're very short readings and easy readings. Or at least parallelly, you can think about these different aspects which has these kind of connotations or build-up connotations that has been, carried forward because of these very representative notions that are constructed around them.
Okay, so in the second session of this thing, Rutika, do you want to introduce?
Yeah.
Did you
So-
guys see the terms that we
I-
put last time? Please.
No, I thought I'll just share that
Yeah.
last time ka apna PPT na.
Yeah.
1 second.
Literally forgotten where to download attendance form.
Sonal, I think there are still few people in the other meeting.
Arey, tell them to come here. Till now, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I've
What's wrong
texted
with
them.
them?
I just
Tell
saw.
them.
What are they doing there? 40 minutes. They're mad or what?
No, I think they just forgot to leave because I also joined in there first and then I
Okay.
joined here.
ठीक है. We are both places, na? This is Purva. I can't see your face because I'm emailing the attendance immediately before I forget. Sem 9, right? So today, basically, cool. It's here. Last time we asked you to, I don't know whether you read did you get notifications if I send things on the chat? What is the good way to communicate? Can you put your email ID here? It might be better. The class email ID. Rutika, you have it? Class
Yeah, I
email
have.
ID? Cool.
Yeah, but did you all? I mean, what? How should we communicate? Do we send emails or we can put it on Teams?
I
You
think
can connect
email
it.
is good because then we know everybody gets it. And
Okay.
CR कौन है?
Who is the CR, by the way?
अभी तक हो गया?
Who?
Drashti, Shroff, me, Yadavendra, and Arhan.
Okay. Then is email better? Should we send things on email rather than Teams? Putting it here.
Actually, you could communicate to one of us and we'll share it with the class. A lot of people don't have the email signed in and like things like that also happen. So we could communicate with the class.
Okay, can you four of us put your emails so that we can maybe communicate with any one of you then? Okay. Okay. Um, so last time, if you remember, we had spoken about this whole idea of discourse. Okay, and as before, while Sonal was explaining this whole idea of the course, and we are kind of dismantling lot of things in small silos and kind of representing it as an idea to you, but actually in reality they all can be combined, and you can see one thing into another. So last time, similarly, we discussed this whole idea of discourse, something, an idea, and there is a whole there are a whole lot of set of different notions and representations that idea consists. And we also kind of had listed these different words, like women architects, vernacular development, Africa. So all these terms kind of comes with these very heavy set of notions in them. So we also had asked you to identify these terms and these notions, and whether and then we can analyze them, or rather we can build upon them, talk about them with respect to these, dismantle the whole smaller nuances of these ideas, or anyone from these words itself, like either we can come up with different words or from these words itself which are mentioned here. What all you think?
I thought maybe we'll do women architects together.
Okay.
That might be some fun, and then we can. Okay, and then we can move on. Then maybe in groups you guys can do your own.
Yeah.
And maybe we can discuss that next time. Yeah.
Sonal,
Yeah?
am I audible? Actually, I didn't
Yes.
get what you want us to do. I mean, this word, should we
Ah.
find meaning, or should we build
Yeah.
our own opinion on it, or what should we do?
The point now, what we are trying to look at how these things are spoken about. Okay. We are looking at the discourse on women architects. We are looking at the discourse of the vernacular in architectural speak or in architectural discourse. The discourse on development. Okay, so like Barth is doing, that's why we gave you those two essays. Like Barth is doing in Wine and Milk, or what's her name is doing in the biological. Emily Martin is doing in with the biological discourse in biology, in the textbook, biology textbooks. We are going to open out these terms in architectural discourse. We are all familiar with architectural discourse. We have heard women architects as a term. Everybody's heard of this strange term called women architects. Yeah? You've heard of vernacular a lot, right? You've heard the word development a lot. And these are all words that are used within architecture, right? Even the idea of Africa. First, we were going to put the idea of India, but that's that fine. We can do that. We can do India as well. Indianness. That discourse on Indianness in architecture suddenly suna hai, right? So we can look at any, and we can look at other things also. Some things like the brutalist, the myths, all the way that these things are spoken about. Can we dismantle that, or look at the other associations that make up this idea of vernacular, this idea of development, or this that's what. Rishikesh, is that fine? Clear?
Yes.
You can bring in actual texts also. If somebody is.
So I mean, I guess I don't know, but I interpreted that he was trying to ask that. I mean, the mode of discussion is like verbal in class, or.
So what we are suggesting, you can put up a Miro board and then populate it. And in groups of whatever 30 is what you were saying, is 30 too big?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I think 10, 15 people should be good, no?
10 to 15 is okay. 15
Yeah.
is
Guys, what do you say? Purva, Drashti, anybody?
Yeah, 10, 15, I guess. So we create different boards on
You
one of the
one board for one term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let us do one together, I suggest today, right now. Let's try one, and then you guys can take up these different things and open them out as well. Is that okay?
Yeah. You can also add. It's not necessary those are the only words. These are just suggestive, like what we thought.
So I'm just going to share a Miro board link. This is the old one that I had used, so I'm using the same one because I don't think I have many. So people can come on it if you want. I might have to give lots of people permission. Huh? Yeah. Let me just.
You can create one now, Sonal, that you have created already one.
Okay. It's fine. You are able to get access, na? This is Arhan. Who said Agam? Agam, you were there in this workshop or something. If anyone wants access, just send me. I think I'll get
It's accessible.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Sorry,
So
from where is it accessible?
just go to the chat, Purva. I have put this link there.
Okay, the chat outside of the meeting.
In meeting में meeting के chat में नहीं डाला. I put it in the meeting का chat. Somewhere I found these windows. Yeah, I'll die. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the chat window as well right now. Yeah. So anybody, what do you does anyone have any this thought of this this term?
Actually, I wanted to talk about this first term. It's not related to architecture. It's a small, very small observation unrelated to architecture. Like a small story actually. So in my house, there's always perpetual radio playing in the background. And I wasn't consciously listening to it, but there was some kind of news going on, and it just like hit me. So the newsreader was talking about the fact that he was talking about some sports person who was the first male sports person to Indian to have nominated for this particular running event for the Olympics. So I was very kind of intrigued. Oh, we never say first male somebody who achieved something, because the first somebody is always by default male. So if it's a woman, if there is some first woman to do something or achieve something, she's not actually the first person to do it, but before her, a lot of men have achieved that thing. That is what is default. So then he, in the next sentence, he kind of elaborated that PT Usha was the first sports person to have nominated for this particular event. So I was like, wow, so she was not the first woman sports person or sports woman to do that. She was just generally the first sports person, Indian sports person to qualify for that. So that intrigued me. So just small.
Yeah. Hey, but you guys, you've heard this term before, women architect. You know, there was recently a book on, or there's lots of conferences also around women architects. You guys have ever attended or seen those blurbs or things around them, promotional things around them?
I haven't heard about it, but I've heard the term like there is no term like male architect, just an architect. But when you are talking about a female architect, you need to mention a woman architect like this. So I've heard this phrase somewhere that actually intrigues the notion of the masculinity of the profession that has been, misconception or what I can not say. But this is something I've heard about.
Yeah.
I guess
Even
this is
surgeon, you know, like if there's I think that somebody carried out a survey, you know, that trying to complete a sentence or something like that, but they took a lot of names of professions, pilot, surgeon, etc., and some were nurse. You know, all these things, they're all always there. We have a gendered notion of that. And the architect somehow, I don't know whether it happens to you naturally, because it happens to me, that you imagine the male automatically, even though I am an architect. Okay. And you know, and
Do you think it also does a very something to do with gender? Like one is yes, mentioning very specifically women, but also it is not being inclusive of what is the meaning of being a woman, right? So what is it to be a woman? If anyone can explain that, I mean, it's a very difficult thing as well. What do you think is this construction of a woman, or who is a woman? Can it even be constructed? Can it even be defined here?
And also, does it make sense that these two should be there
Yeah,
together?
like a
They
binary.
exist
Yeah.
individually.
Yeah.
I mean, why women architects?
Yeah.
As you said, the whole idea of women in itself is so. so different. The whole
Okay,
idea.
yeah. Let's do a very mechanical thing. Okay, what category does this word belong to? Huh? This one, woman. What is a woman? Like, what category is it? Is it a biological category? Is it a a social category, like a gender wala category? The woman is a biological category. Is it an idea of biology that generates this idea of woman?
We can actually put these keywords down, no, Sonal? If you
Yeah. I can type. Anyone can type. Please. So
just
as
around
bio,
the
yeah.
Hi, I so basically what I feel is it's not about like women, maybe it's about the word, like it's more about the fact that it's put before architect. Like it's not in all professions that you specifically see
Correct.
like for a business manager, like we don't say women business managers, no, like it's normal for them to be a business manager, but it's maybe not normal for them. It's just like women pilot, like it's just some words, some professions in front of which you specifically see, and maybe that's because of the work that they do. It's more about like field professions, like where you're on site,
Yeah.
where you're doing something
Perfect.
physically.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more about that.
Yeah. So what about architecture makes it this one is that this idea of the field. I think for me also I agree that is it this? Is the what is the field? Can you clarify? Is
I
it what I've
meant
written?
I meant like works involving more physical like presence on site, in a way.
Hmm. The site, okay, like a woman's, where are women seen, the space where women are seen naturally, it is imagined to be a natural space for women.
Stereotypically, I
Interiors,
think
the home or kitchen.
Wait, two
Even as
people are speaking.
doctors, maybe.
Huh?
As a profession, probably as doctors or probably as teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
even
Okay.
even nurses.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
those can be categorized, those as
Servants.
caretaking.
Yeah.
And
Maid always the
caretaking,
buy.
care work. Can we call it care work or assistance, something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, service maybe.
Yeah. Care work, service. Care work, I think I find more accurate. The service, आजकल service industry भी होता है, that
Yeah.
many things are service, like watchmen and all are also imagined as that category. Maybe care work, where they have to take care of some other person.
Yeah.
Right?
Even when we go like air hostess and pilots. So pilots mainly are seen as men, and air hostess as women. Flight stewards is a very minuscule
Okay,
part.
let's discuss why. Okay, what is imagined? Let's discuss the body. Okay, what architects do, huh? And what this going on field is one thing, huh? What do architects do actually, physically or as bodies? They imagine there's, because the woman is a bodily category, a biological category, also a social category. I agree, but the social category also comes from the framing of the capabilities of the body or the role of the body as nurturer, right?
Yeah.
Or as as weak, correct?
Weak, passive, soft. all
Yeah.
these.
So what do architects do? What do architects do as work? One is this. Who said this? Amrit. AG कौन था? Arhant.
I said it, Ravishka.
Ravishka. Yeah. And so that is one discourse, right? And you will hear this always, that on the field, you'll hear a lot of women. Have you heard women architects ever speak about the experience of practice on the field?
So I personally worked at SJK. Like my internship was at
Perfect. Yeah,
yeah,
Shimul, na? Yeah.
yeah. So I got like first-hand experience because it was very shocking. But actually, most of the people working in my firm were women as well. Like there were 2 boys
Yeah.
out of 50 people.
Yeah.
So like on site, like when we were talking to the contractors and all, like they just assume that we don't know what we're talking about, and they were like, "Aap structural consultants se baat karo." But like we were actually right in what we were saying, but they just assumed that we didn't know what we were talking about because it was, I don't know, like maybe like whatever, whenever it came to like structural work, they just assumed that we didn't know what we were saying, like when we spoke to the contractors. So that was one observation.
Yeah. Okay. But this is Ravishta.
Yeah.
Yes, Ravishta, did you ever have conversations with Shimul about her practice and why she has women, or did she ever
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she told us that, she had started with her husband. Like her husband is also an architect. He works for IM Kadri. Like he is the architect. Yeah. So she said that they had started the practice together, and then, their ideologies didn't match. She wanted to do something more related to context and ecology and in that direction, whereas he was, kind of doing more building related stuff, like, just building, buildings, housings and stuff like that. So then they decided to, not do it together. She decided to start her own firm, and
Yeah. Anybody? So we had a conversation with Shimul once about her practice, and she said 3 interesting things. One, she said that I hire only women because she wants more women to be seen as architects. One. Uh, Second, she said things like this, that as a woman architect, and she said that this is also something that she thinks that there is something such as feminine or womanly architecture. Not womanly, but there are ways that women architects work that are different from male architects. There are because of being denied maybe, or being on the margins, but in that marginal existence there are certain ways of looking or imagining that can become a resistance to this idea of architecture and development as a sort of masculine developmentalist macho space. So in that time she had said also that I think women are closer to nature. What do you guys think about that, Ravishta? You were saying something.
yeah, I think like the way, the reason why she's actually very motivating in that sense. Like whenever used to have these discussions, she's always been very motivating. And one thing that she's always spoken about is being sensitive. Like for whoever you're doing, whatever it is that you're
Ah.
making. Like her thing was that she was very sensitive about each and every person. Like even if it was just the staff room, like for the
Yeah.
staff people, like there's this entire idea of their comfort which came as priority and not the amount of space that'll go, or
Yeah.
the cost that'll come. So that sensitivity is something that I think is like like women can relate to more than men. I don't know if I'm right in saying that, but
Yeah,
I don't know. What do others think?
but then have you ever thought that from where this whole idea of women close to nature, women more sensitive, uh, comes? Like,
Motherhood, right?
sorry,
Motherhood.
motherhood. Okay.
Let's look
What
at 3
I think,
architects. Let's look at 3 architects. Bolo. Who's saying someone?
Yeah, I was trying to say that field has always been male dominated in a sense. Uh, through women architecture or women architects, uh, women have been able to establish, in a sense, their niche in the field to be able to uh, and be labeled as something and then be seen in that light than to be accepted in general as just being an architect. This woman architecture sometimes could also, you know, carry with it a certain attention, which rather an architect wouldn't want. Like even some architects accepting the award of women architecture, like women architects, they are validating this idea of a woman architect and not just, and these are architects who are doing it. So I mean,
So you have
sometimes I
problems with
feel,
that?
sorry.
Is that a problem for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel in a way we are talking about equality and stuff like that, and then we are also accepting these terms in some way. So I think there is some kind of a, I mean, disparity in that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see what is happening here. That all these architects are actually fantastic examples of the kind of diversity of practices. Do you know any more? Do you know the older what was the name, the Parsi woman, uh, the first woman architect? Sorry, again, woman who graduated. Minute, no, Minute. This is Silva is there, of course. This is a Sri Lankan this, but in Bombay there is Umi.
Yeah, there is.
DD contractor.
No. This is old, very old. She's built a kind of, I think this is her surname, if I'm not mistaken. There's of course DD contractor. I don't know whether you guys have heard all the kind of stuff about Zaha. Zaha is very reviled actually. Most of the people I know don't like Zaha's work, or they really like it, or even Samira also. I remember early on in her practice, because she started with interiors. A lot of male architects I knew used to say that she paints her floors with nail polish, or, that she does decoration. It's not architecture. Now nobody can say anything to her. But I remember all this. Vandana, of course, sorry. Yeah, Vandana definitely. Chitra, Chitra's practice. But these are all very interesting.
Very different practices, actually. Very different.
Very different practices.
Yeah. So
Chitra.
Yeah. And I was thinking that while we are listing the names, so we have this very set notion about women, but you see at the end the practices that each of these women is running are so diverse and so different. Then why do we have these set notions which are related to, we're talking about these sensitiveness, being soft, passive. Uh, so, so why? I mean, how does then these go? Isn't it so contradicting that first we label ourselves and then
Yeah, I think
Is
it's
there?
the
But is
whole.
About?
Sorry. I think it's the whole idea of the concept of femininity and masculinity. Like women can have masculinity as well as femininity in their practice, but all these words that we have come up with are associated with the characteristics of femininity. That is to be a nurturer or a someone who takes care, a caretaker or someone like that. But we see masculine as someone who builds and who is more out there. So even though these women architects have so many different practices, I think it's because of these characteristics, and we kind of stereotype women as very feminine, but it's not necessary women have to be feminine.
I think these
I
stereotypes
wanted
and
to
labels, yeah. I think these stereotypes and labels about women architects, which we're talking about, it doesn't even stem from our own practices or our own minds. I think these labels are formed by men. I don't think we give these labels to ourselves.
But
I
see,
wanted to actually. No, so like how Ravishra spoke about, and I mean, you all spoke about how SJK, like the work is more sensitive and all of that. I mean, but if you see Zaha Hadid's firm and the kind of work that they do is, I mean, according to me, not so sensitive to, I mean, the space that it inhabits. And I mean, this is this one conversation that I had during my internship with my fellow interns. And I mean, they were guys, and they were just like, we were just talking about architects, and it came up about women architects, and they were just like, how many star architects do you know are women? Or, even they were just like, that when you think about women architecture, you would think about soft and, I mean, curvy and all of that for some reason. And I was just like, I don't think so. I mean, that's not even how I think, or even about, say, Zaha Hadid for that instance. Or, I mean, even for in terms of star architects, I mean, last year, I mean, Yon and Cheryl, they won. I mean, so like, I don't know. I mean, that's what just Itosha said about how, I mean, maybe men have that perception, or maybe they were just the two who felt that way. I don't know. But yeah.
There's. I want to another quote from another woman who practices in Bombay, Abha. Narayan Lamba, everybody knows her practice, right? Did anyone intern with her? Oh, somebody put Pravina. Thank you.
Yeah, and Revati Kamat also. I just realized I want to put her.
But so she said, always she says, this is a story she tells, that to prove to the contractors on site or people on site that I could do things, I climbed the scaffolding of the building as an intern, almost a very young graduate from SPA from Conservation Department. She said I had to climb the scaffold in front of them to prove so that they would respect me. Yeah, that as a body, to prove that she can do things that were not imagined that a woman should or could do, right? That as a body, forget all this idea of nature, everything, but as a body and presence, when you go to site, you have to assert your authority or get people to take you seriously, who are men, who have and sometimes men who always see, or even women who never see the woman's voice to have any power. First of all, the way we even trivialize women's voices, right, as shrill or high pitched, lacking depth, lacking volume, right? One, the voice itself as a body. Then what the body is capable of. You don't ever see women or the way we are trained to be as bodies of since we as soon as we start growing up, is to shrink into ourselves, right? Keep your knees together, keep your arms together, look down, or that the body is always something that is a very conflicted thing for women. I'm sure for guys as well, who because they have to aspire to the masculine ideal of being like out there and muscular and strong, and but that is what she said, which I found very interesting also, as a body. And Samira has told a friend of mine that please do not wear long earrings when you go to site. Nobody will take you seriously. Yeah. So there are all these sort of kind of strange situations with the body. Forget other ideas of practice that happen. Anybody else?
This incident about, you just said this, what Samira told you. I just remembered that there was this Tanishq ad.
Tanishq ad.
It
With
was on
Gitanjali Rao as architect.
It was the same line. She's also she's someone who's working in an architect's office, and the architect kind of while in the meeting she kind of points out like there's a presentation going on, and she points out on that. And interestingly, when you're talking about this whole aspect of that, there are certain things that the body is supposed to do or not supposed to do. There's this one survey or an article I read somewhere that architecture, interior designing, rather interior designing is the most preferred field for women because it is assumed that the whole aspect of women to be always associated inside home and being inside and not going outside.
Decorativeness as feminine.
Yeah, decoration, interior decorator. They call interior decorator. So this whole when you're talking about this whole aspect of body and the notions that body has to do or not has to do, even fields related, like even for instance air hostess, like if at all. So the whole the whole job is like taking care of the passengers, and so all those these notions of what the women as an image has to do and not to do. So
also in the case of like whenever you go and look for a house, like okay, being an architect, not architect, whatever, when you go to look for a house also, the first thing, I mean, and if you go with a male companion or a partner, they always when they show you the kitchen, they'll be like, oh, women's department, like they literally use the word women's department, and I keep wondering because I don't know how to use the kitchen. I never enter the kitchen. I'm like, what is this women's department they're calling? Is it like a space where they say that you belong there? And then when you tell them you're an architect, they go, oh wow, so you'll be able to design the kitchen better. I'm like, no, in fact, I won't be because I don't know how things work. So then it depends.
Yeah.
There is this notion that is already created and spaces associated with assumed that a woman or this whole women architects will be better at for some reason. Yeah.
This book I found very interesting. I went to the opening of this book. This recently released maybe 2-3 years ago of a scholar called Mary Woods, who actually spends a lot of time looking at women and architecture and women. And she's written this book called Histories of Practice in Mumbai and Delhi. And the format of the book is very interesting. If you go and read it, what you will have is biographies of the practice. Okay, you will not. This is very rare. If you see if you see books on architecture, usually what do you see? You see works, right? You see works. You see maybe only the works. And the drawings of the building, photographs of the building, the way it was made, etc., etc. But in the case of women architects in India, this book, the thing is not only about the work, because the book says histories of practice. It goes into biographies of how each of the women featured here came to be architects, their approach to this, what their histories were, what their influences were, how they managed home and family and all sorts of things. Have you heard this kind of discourse about women architects? These are always the kind of questions I feel that the way that this idea of women architects is framed. And how do you balance work and life? Or how do you balance children and work? Which no man is ever asked. Huh? Never, ever. Nobody goes and asks Charles Correa, how do you manage, bringing up your children and practicing architecture? But of course, Mary Woods is a very interesting writer, and this is also an approach. Suppose you wrote similar things on men, maybe something interesting will happen as well. What do you guys think? Good, bad? Do you think that this is a good way to look at practice? Through biographies, influences, the idea of a whole practice and a person involved in practice, or just the work?
To trace back the ideas and the ideologies rather that the person follows, or just to look at the work and the ideology. That's it.
There's some mythologized creatures among men also. I think Corbusier, but Corbusier's personal life is not really a big part, except his all the myth of his solitude and monastic retreat to that log cabin of his.
Yeah.
ऐसे सब है, but not.
Yeah. Even Khan's personal life is too mysterious. I mean, his at his funeral, one wife gets to know that he has another wife.
Also, what I mean, on this topic of practices, and is the individual something that you need to look at as a representation of this larger idea of a woman and the practice? So, and of course, the projects that come out. So, here probably it will be worth seeing if there are partners to a firm who are running the firm, or there are sole women architects. Is there a difference between the ways in which these practices also work? And if there are, what are the observations that you all have had if there is a partnership, or if there are solo architects? So maybe that's one way of kind of like opening up the discussion.
Even the way the firm is named, rather.
Whose name comes first? It's all, or is there like a different name altogether? Like, what is the kind of relationship that it has with the practice or the person? Anyone has done an internship where there is a male-female partnership, or is there a difference in the way in which work is distributed or the practice is kind of carried out?
Yeah, actually, I have done the internship where the architect that was interning under, he and his wife were running the firm.
Okay.
So actually, that's the reason. I mean, also in the past we have interviewed architect called Chitra Vishwanath. So even she had this point that actually we asked the question that don't you face this oppose from the workers that how can they work for a woman? So she said, at least what I remember is that she never got to face these things because her husband was dealing the side issues. So she never got to actually face that part of that scenario. But that is the reason that why I feel that the women open the firm with their partners, so that there is a layer of safety that already is helping them to do whatever they want freely.
Do you see a trend in this then? I mean, do you see like a pattern that is emerging? Is it something that is that is say 20 years back, 20, 25 years back? Is the same pattern existent even today, or is there a change?
Actually, I don't know what was there 20 years ago, but the pattern that I've observed right now is that in this academic curriculum, there are 70% girls who are studying with us, but in practice, the scenario goes opposite where there are most of the boys who are practicing. So I was always questioned that what happens with the girls who are there with us. I mean, why all are in the practice? So that's the reason. Like, this is something particular to me, which it is, my opinion based, that architecture as a field expects some masculinity from the person who is doing it, like site visits that are late at night, which are far away from the distance which is expected from women, which society may not allow her because she has family responsibilities. Her family may not let her go because there are some norms, barriers, and that is why having a firm with the husband is, you can adjust it. Like, there are some, it is so safe. That is why I feel that the pattern of this is going around.
Do you also think the on site, the laborers who work or the people who work, they are all male also? Like, there is a disparity there also. Like, even women are given certain kinds of work to do, like, just plastering, or like, it's a very simple, but then skilled jobs are given to men. So painting is given to men. Plaster, like load carrying and all is given to women. So there is a disparity starting there in the construction industry or in the construction space. which also then kind of trickles down to the way you interact with the site. So there are these multiple factors that come into play to where
Right.
disparity at different levels, which then also shape the way your practice also functions. Correct? Do you see
Right.
that? Do you see that happening?
I couldn't experience the site visit in my home because of the lockdown, so I didn't know.
No,
But
but it's
earlier,
also like an
I
introduction
went
for
for some site visits where I have seen that most of I didn't even see a woman worker when I went to the site. There was all men, so
you.
I couldn't say that are even tasks assigned to women or not. I'm not sure about that now.
Mm.
But yeah, if you're saying so, that might be a case.
Yeah. So it's interesting actually. So as a part of our study, when we were doing our masters, we had to go to the Naka. Okay, and the Naka is where laborers used to be picked up for construction. And first of all, it's a very sad sight where the contractors come in and they just like basically show of hands, and then they pick up whoever they think is capable as per how they are, not based on their profile. And when we went to the Naka, this was in Ahmedabad, and when we went to the Naka, you would see the way that Naka is also segregated. So the women would stand at the divider in the middle, like, or roads on either side, and the men would stand on the side footpaths over there. And they said, and when we spoke to them, they were like, listen, the contractors also don't treat us the way, like, they treat men. They come and ask us, and they misuse us being women. So there is a very dearth of women laborers also, who like, and those handful are basically relatives of the male laborer. So when a male laborer is picked up, then the family of the male laborer is also like, or automatically pick up. So there are these dynamics which play in the way even laborers are chosen, and you will see this whole disparity starting from there. So I mean, and yeah, and then of course it reflects in the way you encounter these spaces, because there is, and there's a perception, as even Sonal has written, there's a perception that is created towards this being a male dominated space versus this being like, for the women. So yeah, someone has their hand up.
Yeah, actually, I forgot one point to add. Like in third year, we went to Kohima, where we had a encounter with architect called Richard Mello. So he shared his story of internship where he was interning under a woman architect, a female architect. So she never used to go to site because she felt that there was no seriousness given to her talk. Like no liberals used to give, respect her, even do what she said. So he used to go to the site to actually talk with them. This is what I remember as far as I know. So in that case, he was from Nagaland. So there was some stereotypes about them that they are so dangerous people. So he used that stereotype to actually get that work done in a very funny way. He was explaining us that. So she had to send her interns on the side to get her work done. This is what I got from that.
I think it's also the way their culture is constructing them as bodies, like the laborers where they come from, or the contractors where they come from, and their way of like, looking at gender for that matter. So
No, I mean,
it also comes from there. Hmm. Yes,
yeah,
Ritika,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah,
No,
go on, go on.
yeah, when you're interesting actually when you're talking about this whole aspect of laborers and the kind of tasks they are assigned. So don't you think even this whole myth is a very selective one, because
Yeah.
because if we associate women themselves with being more artistic, being more kind of then why majority of the carpenters or the one who does the woodwork are also women, when it is actually also a craft. I think until the whole new field of furniture design, I think, came up, this whole aspect of making and crafting and doing was majorly done by or perceived to be done by men.
Yeah, there is always this contradiction. Like last time I think I made a comment about Mummy or Everest, but when you say a chef, it's always a chef. You don't imagine a woman. But then Everest and MDH is always about Mummy. So
Tuba, your voice is gone.
oh, is it? I guess that I think you heard my point. Did you?
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe it was just me. Sorry.
Yeah.
but you can repeat it again. Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said that when it's about something related to cooking, like the duty of the cooking is always associated with the mother, but then when it comes to the craft or the the professionalism about being a chef, it's always imagined as a man, like the way Rutika was saying about.
It's selective. That's what I think. Even there is no, so that's what, the whole aspect of myth. It's always, it's never real. It's always selective. What is real at least will be there. And all these notions, all these social conditions that are there, which leads to something doing some particular aspect. That's why we kind of, asked you that when we see practices, is it okay only to see the work, or even the from where the person comes, where the ideologies come, why the ideologies come, to trace back all that. So that's how this whole, circle of myths works.
And
Very
also,
selective.
I think there is another kind of thing that we need to also keep in mind, especially when it comes to India. Who has access to education, architectural education? Yeah, even amongst women, for that matter. Are these people coming from privileged families? That are these people who reside in cities? Are these people who come from a certain economic background, who then have the access to the education? So who are given that opportunity? And basis of that opportunity, or the giving that opportunity, who are the ones who are coming in the forefront, and who are the ones who become prominent also, whose names are then reflecting in these magazines or whatever. So there are these levels in which even as people we go through to become an architect, and then project ourselves. So at every level there's a filter that is kind of negating certain people from the whole equation. So, and you can clearly see the difference that is happening. So there's a certain level of intersectionality that we need to start speaking about when we address such issues as well. That also includes economic status, caste, religion, so on and so forth. So you need to be able to create that notion. Yeah.
Also, extending to what you said, yeah, maybe I don't know if I'm correct, not, or you might agree or not. The whole aspect of even when we get paid, so there are so one factor like leads to another. Even there are leeways of taxation. Like we have tax benefits which are more, you know and maybe why is that, I mean, why this whole aspect of tax benefit comes came for us. Why? Maybe because the even there's a whole debate on the pay scales. Women get lower pay scales. There are countries in which openly women get less pay scales. So it is a fact there. I mean, it's a given that you will, this inequality is there. So yeah, I mean, one thing is related to another. It's nothing that one has to agree, not agree, but yeah, it's this whole circle of myths and selects that you can actually work on. Sonu is laughing. Why? Smiling. Why? What happened?
I just put in this. Look at this. I don't know whether you can see the screen anymore.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The idea of the tower. So then also
yeah,
it
exactly.
goes into that argument. So just begin to see how things are now breaking up into multiple directions, okay, multiple threads. Now what Sonal has put is also very interesting, because now you see something like this, which is almost like comparatively low heighted. It has an opening of a certain sort, and there is always an association to the woman architect designing things which look like female body parts. There is always this kind of notion that is also creating. And versus the sky, the tower or the skyscraper, which is done by men who are related to high economic drive and development and all of these progress and all of that. So you begin to see even the representation of what it means to be masculine versus feminine in design or the form of a building, and this notion is actually just kind of almost like assigning to the architect. Yeah.
This is also very interesting. This book is there in the library. If anyone ever wants to read it, it's great fun. It talks about how in this idea of modernity, there's a rejection, first of all, of tradition, but also of the idea of the traditional home, right? And the idea of a traditional domesticity. If you think about these Farnsworth House or Corbusier, or who's imagined the kind of individual that is imagined, which is not necessarily a traditional family. Sometimes a brotherhood of workers, in Corbusier's that commune kind of idea, or the single individual facing nature in Corbusier's sketches, or the Farnsworth House, right, for Mrs. Farnsworth. But there is this idea that the traditional domesticity is kitsch, right? It is sticky. It is as architects also we inherit a sort of we disparage ornament, we disparage decoration, we disparage certain textures or ideas of design, right? And I think that is also part of how this masculinity, the idea of masculinity, whereas the home, traditional home, traditional domesticity, and a female led environment or controlled environment is imagined to be, uh, something alien to the idea of a modern home. So this is quite an interesting book. It's not only about gender, but there is also gender in it. But it's also about other things, forms of art and architecture as well. The Bloomsbury Group is part of it. Lots of things, lots of interesting things are there in this as well. You can look at it. This book is interesting for the kind of narrative it makes. Uh, and the way it creates a profile of the woman architect. If you see even the emphasis in the blurb, okay, the generations are metro systems, shopping malls, corporate headquarters, all the new global India, but they also design schools, cultural centers, religious pilgrimage hotels, wildlife sanctuaries. Pioneers in conserving historic buildings, these women also sustain and resurrect traditional crafts and materials, empower rural and marginalized communities, and create ecologically sustainable architectures for India. If you read the kind of narrative that is set up even in these three sentences, you'll understand that it kind of makes a space for a female or an idea of a more womanly, more caretaking, more more
More
care work
sensitive.
as architecture. Yeah, more sensitive idea. It automatically, this of course I have made bold, but even the way the sentences are constructed, they be like, yeah, they do this, but they also do that, and they make all these lovely, warm sanctuary spaces, and then they also do this, take care of people and nature, like that. That's the kind of way it is structured. So even the way things are written are quite interesting. This this is of course how they call something the bean, but this is called the vagina. So, and you guys have seen this ever? Must have. Mm. Yeah. So even if you do a close reading of text, you might have, when we do the exercise next time, it might be nice to look at how things are written about also and try to dismantle that.
Yeah. So actually, this is the way we want each discourse. We want to dismantle each discourse and try to find different aspects about it. So in the next class, they will get the Miro board done, right, Sonal? And then we'll
They can do it in class also. You want to do that? Maybe half an hour or something.
I think let them be prepared for it. Like let them
let them
get their
choose.
word and then be prepared for a discussion, because then it will be nice to have a more fruitful discussion.
You guys want to just discuss the terms?
Yeah, I think.
You all can choose terms also. Let's just do that and distribute them. Let's do it straightforward. 1 to 80 ka. 1 is to 10, 20 is right. 11 is to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to whatever, etc. etc.
Yeah, similar. So 10 or 15 ka karna hai? How many? 15 or 10? 10?
10 is okay, I think. Too many groups. 1 to 15 is better.
We have 80 here, right?
Yeah. I think 15 people are good enough.
Yeah. We can do it in class next time, but come prepared. Bring things. Huh? We can just discuss, 1 to 15, which term you want to do. or we can distribute that right now and then end the class.
Or do you want them to kind of choose or no? That will be a lot of chaos.
Let's
The
do it
terms
now because we'll do it
the
now in
terms will
class.
be from the presentation that the same one that we had listed.
Let's see those, project them, we'll discuss and then see whether anybody wants to do
Okay. No,
or
because
other things as well.
wait a second. I'll just
Oh, what is this nice? Dhairya, what you put? Ah. Ah, nice. Put it on the board, na?
Yeah, sir. Actually, this was an article by in an interview by an architect. So she was talking
Ah.
about. So I read it somewhere, so I put it in the channel.
And it's also to do with the quota systems and all that are there. Like, look, it starts over there where and when I had in 2009 when I came to Krivya, we had the girls quota system where there was another filter for more women to be encouraged to come into the field. But then,
I don't think it's there now, na?
now I don't know. I'm not sure, but we had when we were there. And I'm just looking at my fellow classmates. Only a handful of them who are women have their own practices, and the others either have it with their partner or they're working for somebody else. And it's a really sad situation if you see even after education that it's a reality. Now that is something that we grew up with. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So these were the listed ones we had. Do you want me to
Does
put this?
anyone want to take up women architects again? Somebody wants to do it, or should we leave it? And because it's kind
I
of
think we'll leave it
exhausted.
now. Lots have been discussed.
Indianness, I think, is a good one to do if we can. Indian
Yes,
architecture,
yes,
Indian
yes.
architecture maybe.
I think so.
Does anybody want to do Indian architecture? A group like, or you all can, will you all distribute it, or you all can suggest terms and then you all can distribute them amongst yourself.
Yeah, I think they can distribute it amongst themselves. Maybe we'll just finalize the list.
Yeah.
Something
Anyone
like
has suggestions or wants to remove something from here?
we can remove also, right? It's not necessary that all has to be taken.
Any terms you all would like to suggest?
You can type it out in the chat also, not a problem.
Yeah. Do we have enough words, terms?
No, I think we need more.
How many are there in the class? I mean, how many? What is the total number?
85.
Sorry?
85.
I think so. It's 85.
85. Okay. I'm
Six
just putting this on.
six terms only we need. That's good.
I'm putting this on Miro. 1 second. Sunil, I have a class in second year which is at 3. I think we just started already. So
How?
Yeah.
It doesn't this class end at 3:30?
Yeah, 3:30 to 4:40 we have class. I told you that till 5 we'll have class. So Thursdays are like jammed.
No, but how is there no overlap?
No, but this is still
only
3.
till
It's
3.
already
Okay.
3.
Chalo, chalo. Then let's
So
end the class.
I have posted the words on the Miro board. Maybe you guys can do. You guys can just say that 1 to 15 group is taking this word and put it on the Teams chat, please, so that we know, okay, what words you have taken.
So we'll do it in class next time, maybe for half an hour. But come prepared, then we can kind of hear you guys what you all think and speak.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
I
fine?
think it's good that if you're prepared a bit, it will actually initiate more rigorous discussion, fun discussion rather.
Find one object or one
articles,
text or one thing,
yeah,
bring
exactly.
something to class.
Visuals, even paintings, visuals, whatever kind of like represent this idea, get those. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye, Ritika. Is that fine? Somebody
Any
hands up
doubts?
if it's
Any
okay.
doubts?
Any doubts?